The night begins with the gentlest sensation, an awareness of quiet settling around you, like a soft blanket being lowered over the world. You can imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast moonlit shoreline, where the only movement is the slow rhythm of waves curling onto the sand. Each wave arrives with a whisper, and each whisper seems to pull your attention further away from the noise of the day. As you breathe, the air feels cool and steady, carrying the subtle scent of salt water and something older, something ancient. The ocean has always had this effect on the human mind, calming, inviting, and mysterious all at once. It asks nothing from you except presence, and even that seems to happen naturally. With a slow inhale, you step closer to the water and let your thoughts drift outward. The surface is dark, but not empty. The moon paints a soft silver path across the waves, a trail leading somewhere beyond the visible world. For centuries, people have looked across this very kind of water and wondered what lies beneath, what lives in those hidden depths, what stories have been swallowed by currents, and what lights might flicker far below the reach of human eyes. Tonight, you follow that tradition, but gently, without urgency. This is not a journey of fear or adrenaline. It's a quiet exploration, a peaceful drifting into the unknown. As your breathing slows, the familiar boundary between shore and sea begins to soften in your imagination. You picture yourself stepping forward, or perhaps simply floating forward, until the water envelopes you in a soft embrace. The sensation is weightless, effortless. You're suspended in a calm, liquid darkness that holds no danger, only serenity and a sense of expansion. The deeper you descend, the quieter everything becomes. Sounds fade quickly in water. Vibrations soften. Even your own thoughts begin to move in slower, more fluid shapes. There's something soothing in this silence, something that makes your mind feel spacious and unburdened. And yet, beneath that peace, there's a subtle curiosity. The ocean has been a source of mystery since the earliest civilizations. Ancient Greek sailors spoke of glowing formations beneath their ships, lights moving in smooth arcs, as if guided by intelligence. Polynesian navigators described luminous creatures or objects that traveled alongside them for days, never surfacing. Scandinavian fishermen told stories of silent disks gliding under the fjords, leaving patterns of shimmering ripples. These legends are old, carried from one generation to the next, shaped by memory and retelling, but unified by an unmistakable sense of awe. You let those stories float through your mind like soft echoes, not judging them, not trying to explain them, just acknowledging that humans have always sensed something alive and mysterious beneath the waves. As you drift deeper in this imagined descent, you can almost feel the temperature shift. The water cools slightly, the light dims, and the world becomes a vast, gentle twilight. But fear never enters the picture. Instead, the darkness feels like a place of refuge, a cocoon where the surface world worries can't reach you. It's here, in this calm quiet, that thoughts of underwater mysteries begin to settle. You recall that the ocean remains one of the least explored regions on Earth, with more hidden terrain than all known continents combined. In this enormous, uncharted realm, so much can exist beyond our understanding. That thought isn't unsettling. It's comforting in its own way. It means the world is larger than the mind's problems. It means there is still wonder. With each breath, you picture faint lights blooming far below, soft, gentle glows, like lanterns drifting upward through the water. They don't rush or flicker. They pulse slowly, as if breathing with you. Whether they belong to unknown species or unexplained phenomena doesn't matter right now. What matters is the feeling they create, a quiet fascination, a peaceful curiosity. You watch the lights move, steady and deliberate, tracing patterns that seem almost intentional. Stories throughout history describe shapes like these, gliding, rising, circling beneath ships, yet always remaining just out of reach. Tonight, those stories unfold without urgency, simply as part of the ocean's long memory. You continue drifting downward until you reach a place where the water feels timeless. The lights fade into the distance, but the sense of mystery remains, like a soft hum in the background. Your mind settles into a gentle equilibrium, half dreaming, half aware, fully at ease. The descent has become a kind of meditation, one that opens a door to the deeper stories that await. The ocean holds countless secrets, some scientific, some legendary, and some still unnamed. But for now, you rest in the embrace of its calm, knowing that the journey into its mysteries is only beginning. The ocean is often described as another world, but the more you reflect on its scale, the more that phrase begins to feel literal. More than 70% of Earth is covered by water, and yet humans have explored only a thin fraction of it, mostly the shallow zones close to shore. The deeper regions, the trenches and vast plains beneath miles of pressure, remain almost entirely unknown. Scientists often remind us that we have mapped the surface of Mars more thoroughly than our own seabed. That simple fact creates a certain humbling quiet in the mind, a reminder that beneath every familiar coastline lies a frontier larger than any continent. As your thoughts drift into this expanse, you may feel a sense of spaciousness, the kind that gently loosens the grip of the day's worries. When you picture the deep ocean, imagine it not as an empty void, but as a living cosmos. There are mountain ranges taller than the Himalayas, canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, and plains stretching farther than deserts. And through all of this darkness, life has found ways to thrive, creatures that glow, fold, ripple, or drift in shapes that seem born from dreams. Bioluminescent organisms cast gentle pulses of blue-green light, like distant stars in a night sky, making the comparison between the deep sea and outer space surprisingly natural. Marine biologists often say that if an intelligent species existed on Earth but wanted to remain concealed, the deep ocean would be the most ideal habitat. Just imagining that possibility adds a subtle layer of wonder to the quiet darkness. As you descend deeper in your mind, the pressure becomes immense, but not physically for you, only atmospherically. It's the kind of pressure that reminds you of the sheer power of nature. Submarines built to explore these depths must withstand forces equivalent to thousands of tons. Yet some unknown anomalies detected by Cold War hydrophone systems appeared to move through these depths with ease. Researchers monitoring the sound surveillance system, the vast network of underwater microphones, occasionally recorded movements that defied classification, objects traveling at speeds beyond the capabilities of any known marine craft, then abruptly stopping or changing direction. Some suggested unusual acoustic reflections, others proposed rare geological events, but many recordings remained unexplained. Thinking about these mysterious signatures in the water feels like observing shapes flicker at the edge of a dream, half known, half forgotten. The psychology of the unknown plays a quiet but significant role here. Humans are naturally uneasy about what can't be seen, and the ocean hides almost everything beneath its surface. Yet that same hiddenness creates a unique kind of fascination. For some, mystery becomes a source of anxiety. For others, a source of peace. When framed gently, as it is now, it becomes a soft curiosity, like looking into a shadow and wondering what stories it holds. Centuries ago, sailors believed the deep sea was the home of supernatural beings. Today, researchers are more cautious, leaning on hypotheses rooted in physics, biology, and geology. But the sense of wonder remains constant across time. Even scientists who spend decades studying marine environments often describe the ocean with reverence, calling it the planet's final frontier. As you imagine drifting through these depths, you might visualize enormous trenches like the Mariana Trench, where the darkness becomes absolute and temperatures drop near freezing. Strangely, even in this stillness, life exists. Tiny organisms move with quiet intention. Strange fish drift with faint internal glows. Everything here operates at a pace slower than thought, slower than memory, creating a space where your own mind naturally slows to meet it. The water around you feels calm, the darkness gentle rather than intimidating. This is the quiet heart of the ocean, where sound barely travels and time feels stretched into something soft and continuous. It's within this vastness that the idea of USOs begins to feel less like a dramatic mystery and more like a natural curiosity. If the ocean can hide entire mountain ranges and ecosystems, then it can just as easily conceal technologies or organisms we have yet to understand. Scientists acknowledge that unknown species are discovered every year, many of which possess abilities that would seem fantastical if described before their discovery. This alone keeps the door open to possibilities, not in a sensational way, but in a rational, measured one. As you continue imagining yourself floating through the quiet depths, you sense how small the human world becomes compared to the ocean's immensity. The concerns of the day fade, replaced by a gentle awareness of something older and larger than human history. Light drifts, darkness breathes, and the water stretches endlessly around you, patient and unhurried. The ocean doesn't demand answers. It simply exists, vast and unknowable. In that space of mystery, your mind softens, finding relaxation in the idea that not everything must be understood. Some things are meant to drift beneath the surface, quiet and enduring, waiting for those who choose to explore with calm curiosity. Long before modern technology allowed humans to probe the deep sea, the first clues of underwater anomalies were carried in the memories of sailors, fishermen, and early explorers. These were people who spent most of their lives at sea, often navigating by instinct and experience rather than instruments. Their journals, ship logs, and oral traditions contain countless descriptions of mysterious lights and shapes beneath the waves, observations recorded not for entertainment but for documentation, sometimes even caution. When you read these old accounts, what stands out is how calmly they were written. There is rarely panic, rarely exaggeration. Instead, the tone is matter-of-fact, as if the unusual was simply another part of life at sea. Imagine the 19th century naval officers aboard wooden ships traveling across dark, silent waters. Many of them wrote about seeing luminous wheels or lantern-like glows deep below the hull. These descriptions often came from seasoned men who had crossed oceans many times, familiar with marine wildlife and bioluminescence. Yet they noted that these lights were different, moving in deliberate paths, maintaining formation, or staying parallel to the ship for long stretches of time. Some logs describe objects traveling faster than any known marine creature, accelerating without turbulence. For officers trained to observe enemy vessels, these anomalies were particularly striking. Their calm documentation adds a layer of credibility, the kind that only comes from people who had little interest in embellishing the strange. Further north, fishermen along the Scandinavian coast spoke of glowing discs drifting under the fjords. These waters are deep, narrow, and quiet, often acting like natural amphitheaters for sound. Fishermen described the lights as silent, circular, and steady, unlike the quick scatter of glowing plankton or the shimmering bodies of fish. Some said the discs moved with the tide, but others swore they moved independently, occasionally rising toward the surface before sinking again. These stories were passed down through families, often shared on cold nights when the sea was too rough to work. They were not told as fantasies, but as reminders that the ocean held secrets no one could fully explain. On the other side of the world, Polynesian navigators, among the most advanced ocean travelers in history, shared tales of undersea stars. These were lights that traveled beneath their canoes, sometimes pacing them for long distances. Polynesian navigation relied on extraordinary observational skill. Slight changes in wave patterns, currents, or animal behavior could signal shifts in direction. For such expert observers to mention underwater lights suggests they experienced something highly unusual. They described the lights as purposeful, moving with a smoothness unlike fish or whales. These accounts carried cultural significance, often interpreted as signs from the ocean itself or messages from ancestral spirits. Yet even within their spiritual explanations, the descriptions remain consistent with modern USO reports: a steady glow, controlled movement, no visible surface disturbance. With the arrival of early submarines in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a new kind of witness emerged: underwater crews operating in near-complete darkness. Submariners frequently reported sonar contacts that behaved like no known vessel or animal. Sonar operators heard rapid, clean movements, sharp accelerations, abrupt turns, or moments when a contact vanished entirely from the sensors. In some logs, crew members noted that the objects produced no propeller noise, no mechanical signature. At a time when underwater navigation was still primitive, these encounters could be unsettling, yet many were calmly reported as anomalies requiring further study. Submariners were trained to differentiate between whales, geological echoes, and enemy vessels. When they said something was unusual, it carried weight. Historians examining these records often point out that such accounts appear across cultures and time periods, even among witnesses who had no knowledge of each other's experiences. That consistency is difficult to dismiss. While some skeptics argue these could be rare natural events or misinterpretations of marine life, others note that the eyewitnesses in these stories, naval officers, fishermen, submarine crews, were individuals deeply familiar with the sea and unlikely to mistake ordinary phenomena for something extraordinary. Their livelihoods depended on accurate perception. Thinking about these stories as you drift through the calm atmosphere of this narrative, you may feel how easily the past merges with the present. The ocean has always whispered its mysteries, sometimes through glowing shapes beneath the hull, sometimes through sonar echoes in the deep. These early accounts set the stage for everything that would follow in later decades. They remind us that USOs are not a modern invention, not a product of technology or imagination. They are part of a long, quiet history of human encounters with the unknown, encounters recorded not with alarm, but with curiosity, caution, and a sense of humility before the vastness of the sea. During the tense years of the Cold War, the ocean became more than a natural frontier. It was a stage for human conflict, surveillance, and advanced technology. Submarines prowled silently beneath the waves, and sonar systems hummed constantly, scanning the depths for anything unusual. Within this atmosphere of high alert, reports of unexplained underwater objects began to surface with greater frequency. Naval officers and sonar technicians, trained to identify even the smallest anomaly, recorded instances of objects moving at impossible speeds or performing maneuvers that no known submarine or marine life could achieve. These encounters were carefully logged, often in secret, creating a quiet archive of mystery beneath the waves. One such case involved the U.S. Navy in the early 1960s. A submarine on patrol in the Atlantic detected an object on sonar that accelerated almost instantly, covering hundreds of meters without leaving any detectable wake. Crew members described the movement as deliberate, controlled, and intelligent in nature. Attempts to track it with multiple instruments yielded inconsistent readings, as if the object could manipulate its presence in the water. Scientists analyzing the sonar data suggested possibilities ranging from rare oceanic currents to experimental Soviet technology, but no explanation fully accounted for the behavior. The officers involved were experienced observers, their testimonies precise, and the logs remain a compelling example of a contact that defied conventional understanding. Across the ocean, Soviet submarine crews reported similar anomalies. In the Barents Sea, sonar operators described objects that appeared to dive from the surface at tremendous speed, then hover in the mid-water, silent and unmoving, before vanishing entirely. These reports were so consistent that military analysts began considering whether the phenomena could be caused by a previously unknown class of underwater craft, or even a naturally occurring, highly mobile phenomenon. Yet the data were always incomplete, leaving room for interpretation and speculation. Some historians note that these patterns of reporting, across two superpowers, suggest something more than isolated misreadings or mechanical errors. The Cold War era added layers of tension to these encounters. Misidentifying an object could have dire consequences, and yet the unknown persisted in the sonar recordings. Submarine officers were trained to be precise and cautious, yet the behavior of these anomalies often appeared deliberate, as if evading detection while observing the human vessels in return. Some Navy manuals later referenced unidentified underwater phenomena in private training notes, though these references were never officially released to the public. The ambiguity itself became a hallmark of Cold War USO encounters, a quiet invisible game played in total darkness, far from civilian eyes. Psychologically, these encounters challenged even the most disciplined minds. Observers reported feeling a mix of awe and unease, recognizing that what they saw was outside known physics, yet not immediately threatening. The ocean during this time was already a space of heightened alertness, silent, deep, and filled with human tension, introducing a presence that behaved independently, intelligently, and unpredictably created a subtle, pervasive mystery. The reports were meticulously written, yet the language often betrayed a hint of wonder. Phrases like impossible maneuver, silent acceleration, and unidentified contact appear repeatedly, quietly emphasizing the limits of human comprehension beneath the waves. Despite the secrecy of military operations, some details eventually reached the public, filtered through declassified documents or cautious interviews with retired officers. Analysts examining these records have pointed out that even with advanced Cold War technology, the ocean was still largely uncharted. Sonar systems, while sophisticated, could not fully map or explain every movement in the deep. This gap between observation and understanding created fertile ground for mystery, reinforcing the idea that the sea may harbor phenomena we have yet to comprehend. Even today, these Cold War encounters remain central to the study of USOs, bridging historical events with modern investigation. Floating in this calm narrative, it becomes easier to imagine these objects not as threats, but as subtle participants in a quiet, unseen world. Their movements are deliberate, but the atmosphere is meditative rather than alarming. The Cold War's tension lingers only as a historical backdrop, enhancing the sense of secrecy and depth rather than fear. Through these accounts, the ocean reveals itself as a layered, multidimensional space where human activity and unknown forces intersect. Each sonar blip, each documented encounter, is a ripple in a larger story, a story that invites reflection, curiosity, and the gentle wonder of a world that is far larger and more mysterious than the eye can see. In more recent decades, reports of unusual underwater objects have shifted from the pages of naval logs to the experiences of a wider range of witnesses, fishermen, divers, coastal residents, and even naval pilots observing from above. These modern encounters are often documented with a combination of eyewitness testimony, photography, and sometimes sonar data, yet the mystery remains intact. Fishermen in remote coastal regions have described seeing strange lights beneath the water, sometimes following their boats for miles, moving in ways that defy the behavior of known marine animals. These lights are not fleeting. They linger, pulse, and change direction with apparent intelligence, leaving observers both fascinated and quietly unsettled. For those who make their living on the water, exaggeration is unnecessary, making their accounts particularly compelling. Recreational divers often report experiences that carry a striking sense of realism. Swimming in deep, quiet waters, they have described metallic or semi-transparent shapes gliding silently beneath them, sometimes reflecting the faint natural light that filters from above. The movement is deliberate, smooth, and almost weightless, unlike anything encountered in ordinary marine life. Divers often note that the surrounding water feels subtly different, more still, more purposeful, as if the presence below is aware of them. Researchers studying perception note that the mind underwater can be hyperfocused, making observers particularly sensitive to anomalies. Yet across hundreds of reports, patterns emerge. Shapes that are round or disc-like, lights that move with intention, objects that vanish without explanation. These consistencies hint at a phenomenon that transcends individual imagination. Coastal residents have also contributed accounts, particularly in regions where deep water lies close to shore. On calm nights, lights are sometimes seen moving just beneath the surface, appearing and disappearing without any discernible mechanical source. Some reports describe the lights ascending into the air briefly before returning to the water, a motion that has captured the attention of ufologists and oceanographers alike. In several cases, local news outlets have documented multiple witnesses, lending further credibility. While skeptics often suggest reflections, bioluminescence, or fishing equipment, Many witnesses are adamant that what they saw did not match known marine or human activity. These accounts create a bridge between the ancient sailor tales and modern observation, showing continuity in the mystery across centuries. Even trained naval pilots have occasionally reported underwater objects from their vantage points in the sky. These encounters are particularly striking because they combine aerial observation with the knowledge of experienced personnel. Pilots describe lights or shapes moving seamlessly from water to air, executing motions that defy conventional understanding of aerodynamics or marine propulsion. Sonar readings from vessels below sometimes corroborate these sightings, although the objects often disappear before full verification. Analysts have noted that these observations challenge both physics and technology, raising the possibility of highly advanced craft or unknown natural phenomena. The pilots themselves frequently express a quiet or rather than alarm, recognizing that the objects are real but beyond their current ability to explain. Modern technology has both clarified and complicated these reports. High-resolution sonar, underwater cameras, and digital imaging provide more data than ever before, yet many anomalies remain unresolved. Researchers examining the evidence note that some USOs produce unusual sonar signatures, accelerate abruptly, and travel without leaving wake or turbulence. While some movements might be attributed to natural currents or misidentified marine animals, the repeated consistency of certain behaviors across independent reports suggests a deeper mystery. This is particularly true in cases where multiple witnesses, fishermen, divers, pilots, observe the same phenomenon simultaneously. The convergence of these perspectives adds a subtle weight to the accounts, as though the ocean itself is whispering secrets to anyone willing to watch quietly. The psychological aspect of these encounters is equally important. Observers often describe a sense of calm curiosity, even when faced with something inexplicable. There is no panic, only attentiveness, a willingness to witness and reflect. This aligns with how humans tend to perceive subtle anomalies when they are relaxed and observant. The ocean, in its vastness, encourages this kind of mindful attention. Each encounter, each sighting, is less about proving or explaining and more about experiencing a moment of connection with a world that is deliberately beyond ordinary comprehension. As you imagine these modern encounters, you can picture yourself floating gently above the deep water, drifting alongside the lights or forms below. The motion is slow, deliberate, and meditative. Fishermen, divers, and pilots alike become part of a quiet continuum of witnesses stretching back centuries. Their observations, combined with ancient stories and Cold War reports, create a rich tapestry of mystery beneath the waves. The unknown objects move silently and gracefully, reminding you that the ocean is alive with stories yet to be fully understood, and that curiosity, patience, and calm observation are all it asks in return. Governments around the world have long maintained a careful, often ambiguous stance regarding reports of unusual underwater phenomena. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union investigated anomalous sonar readings and unexplained movements beneath the waves, yet the findings were largely classified. Official statements rarely acknowledged the full extent of these encounters, instead offering cautious language that suggested misreadings, equipment malfunctions, or natural phenomena. Analysts who have reviewed declassified documents note a recurring pattern. Reports are meticulously recorded, sometimes with extraordinary detail, yet no public explanation fully resolves the events. This balance between observation and silence created an air of quiet mystery that persists even today. Some information has filtered into the public domain through Freedom of Information Act requests and partial disclosures by military personnel. For example, a number of Navy documents reference unidentified submerged objects and note behaviors inconsistent with known marine craft, yet the reports stop short of drawing conclusions. Researchers studying these documents point out that the careful, neutral tone suggests that officials took the phenomena seriously, even if they were unwilling or unable to reveal their interpretations. The lack of definitive answers fosters speculation, Yet it also demonstrates that governments are dealing with observations that lie outside conventional understanding rather than fabricated stories or hysteria. Media coverage adds another layer to the narrative, but often complicates perception. Newspapers, magazines, and more recently, online outlets tend to dramatize or simplify these events, framing them in sensational language or tying them to extraterrestrial theories. Sociologists note that media amplification can distort public understanding, emphasizing fear or spectacle rather than careful observation. Yet when reports come from credible sources, naval officers, trained sonar operators, or multiple independent witnesses, the story shifts subtly. The contrast between official caution and public excitement highlights a tension between transparency and security, knowledge and mystery. For listeners in a relaxed, reflective state, this tension becomes a soft undercurrent of curiosity rather than anxiety. In some cases, government agencies have acknowledged the phenomenon in limited ways, especially in the context of broader investigations into unidentified aerial phenomena. Statements occasionally reference transmedium objects capable of operating in air and water, acknowledging encounters that remain unexplained. Analysts argue that these admissions are cautious precisely because the phenomena challenge conventional physics and naval capabilities. It's as if the ocean itself holds secrets that even advanced technology can only partially detect. The careful framing by officials adds realism and depth to the mystery without tipping into speculation, reinforcing the sense that there is something genuinely unusual beneath the waves. Historically, the pattern of silence or ambiguity can be understood as a practical measure. Unexplained underwater activity during periods of high military tension could be misinterpreted as foreign technology, raising the risk of conflict. In this context, discretion was not just secrecy for secrecy's sake. It was a strategy for maintaining calm and control. Yet the very act of careful observation, documentation, and internal reporting suggests that governments were quietly fascinated. Sonar logs, internal memos, and training references often indicate that some anomalies were taken seriously, studied in depth, and passed along to higher authorities, even when no public acknowledgement followed. The psychological effect of government ambiguity is subtle but profound. On one hand, it fosters curiosity and speculation, inviting observers to imagine possibilities beyond the surface of reality. On the other hand, it reassures that the phenomena are not threats, at least not immediate ones, because the responses are deliberate and measured. This interplay between secrecy, careful study, and minimal disclosure mirrors the behavior of the ocean itself, deep, slow, and patient, revealing only what it chooses. It encourages a state of quiet attentiveness, a willingness to observe without judgment. Thinking about the combined effect of government investigation and media portrayal, the ocean appears as a layered environment of mystery. Official documents provide structure and credibility. Eyewitness accounts offer immediacy and detail. Media narratives add cultural texture. Together, they create a space in which curiosity can flourish safely. The unknown objects beneath the waves are framed not as threats or disasters, but as persistent enigmas, challenging our understanding while inviting gentle reflection. As you imagine drifting alongside these mysteries, the water remains calm, the silence profound, and the sense of wonder steady, a quiet, persistent reminder that the world holds more than can be easily explained. Scientists and researchers have long sought to understand unusual underwater phenomena, exploring possibilities that range from natural explanations to advanced technology. In calm contemplation, it becomes clear that the ocean is an environment of extremes, crushing pressure, near freezing temperatures, and darkness so complete that light from the surface barely penetrates. In such conditions, movement behaves differently, and sound travels in strange ways, sometimes creating echoes or distortions that can confuse even sophisticated sonar systems. Marine biologists often point out that bioluminescent organisms, unusual currents, and rare geological activity can account for some sightings. Tiny creatures may cluster in unusual patterns, and underwater plumes or gas releases can refract light, creating glowing shapes. These natural phenomena provide a grounded, scientific lens through which to view much of the unknown, allowing curiosity without fear. Yet there are encounters that resist simple explanation. Reports frequently describe objects that accelerate in ways that defy conventional understanding, vanish suddenly, or move in perfect, deliberate arcs. Physicists and engineers studying propulsion in water note that the energy required for these maneuvers exceeds what is currently achievable with human-made submarines. Even the most advanced experimental vehicles leave turbulence, noise, or cavitation behind, whereas these anomalies are often described as silent and smooth. Researchers analyzing sonar records observe patterns that mimic intelligent behavior, changes in direction, stops, starts, and seemingly purposeful pacing, behavior that natural phenomena rarely replicate. These observations invite careful contemplation, prompting a gentle curiosity about the limits of physics in extreme environments. Some scientists have proposed that unknown forms of marine life could be responsible. The ocean is home to species with extraordinary adaptations, many discovered only in the past few decades. Giant squids, deep-sea jellyfish, and bioluminescent fish display behaviors and capabilities that would have seemed impossible to earlier observers. Perhaps some creatures, as yet undiscovered, could generate light patterns or movement that appear artificial to human eyes. While these ideas are speculative, they remain rooted in observable principles. Evolution in extreme conditions can produce unexpected results. Considering this possibility encourages a sense of wonder at the creativity of nature rather than fear of the unknown. At the same time, there is the question of human-made technology. Some USO reports coincide with regions of naval activity or areas known for testing experimental vehicles. Supercavitating submarines, capable of moving at remarkable speeds beneath the water by enveloping themselves in gas bubbles, offer a partial explanation for some encounters. Still, even these machines cannot replicate the precise, smooth maneuvers or sudden vertical transitions that many eyewitnesses describe. Engineers who study these phenomena note that while propulsion systems can achieve speed, they rarely match the fluid grace attributed to these anomalies. This intersection of possibility and limitation deepens the sense of mystery, highlighting the ocean as a domain where science is continuously challenged. The ocean itself also contributes to perceptual complexity. Acoustic anomalies, temperature layers, and shifting currents can create illusions or amplify sound and light in ways that deceive human senses. Psychologists studying eyewitness accounts emphasize that context matters. Calm waters, nighttime observation, and prolonged focus can heighten attention to subtle changes, while the mind simultaneously searches for patterns. This may explain why many encounters are described as deliberate and intelligent. The brain naturally interprets movement and light in familiar, purposeful ways. Yet the consistency across multiple, independent reports suggests that there is more than imagination at play. The alignment of physical, sensory, and cognitive factors creates a delicate balance between explanation and mystery. The possibility of unknown physical phenomena also intrigues researchers. Plasma-like underwater discharges, rare electromagnetic effects, or as yet unidentified oceanographic events could account for lights or movement that defy conventional categorization. Scientists approach these ideas cautiously, emphasizing repeatable observation and data collection. Even when phenomena are observed only occasionally, they expand the boundaries of what is considered possible in natural systems. The calm contemplation of such phenomena fosters both awe and a sense of tranquility, allowing the mind to dwell in the unknown without anxiety. In the quiet reflection of the deep sea, all of these possibilities coexist: natural phenomena, advanced technology, undiscovered life, and rare physical effects. None require sensationalism, yet each carries a profound sense of mystery. By considering them slowly, without judgment or urgency, it becomes easier to feel both relaxed and engaged. The ocean is vast, patient, and full of surprises, and the unknown objects that move within it serve as gentle reminders that the world is larger than our current understanding. In this calm, deliberate observation, curiosity and serenity intertwine, leaving space for quiet wonder as the mysteries of the deep continue to unfold. Beyond the explanations of natural phenomena and experimental technology, some encounters invite consideration of possibilities that are less conventional, yet deeply fascinating. The ocean has long been a place of myths and legends, from the ancient Polynesian tales of luminous beings beneath the waves to the Japanese stories of underwater spirits that appear only to those who are attentive. These stories, passed down through generations, suggest that humans have long sensed something extraordinary in the depths, something that could move, think, and act in ways beyond ordinary understanding. While myths and folklore do not provide scientific proof, they reflect a collective awareness of the ocean's strangeness and hint at patterns that transcend culture and time. Modern observers, particularly ufologists and researchers in anomalous phenomena, sometimes propose that some USOs may represent forms of intelligence not originating on Earth. The ocean's vast, obscured environment offers a plausible habitat for entities or technologies that prefer to remain hidden from human observation. Some theories suggest that if advanced civilizations exist beyond our planet, they might choose oceans as ideal bases, protected by pressure, darkness, and isolation from surface scrutiny. Reports of objects appearing both underwater and in the air feed this speculation, suggesting a capability for transmedium travel that is highly unusual and difficult to reconcile with known physics. While such hypotheses remain speculative, they offer a gentle invitation to contemplate the universe beyond conventional limits, blending curiosity with wonder rather than alarm. The concept of interdimensional presence is another lens through which some researchers view these phenomena. In this view, certain anomalies may originate from realities that coexist alongside our own, crossing into the physical plane intermittently and leaving subtle traces in the ocean's depths. Accounts of objects vanishing suddenly or reappearing elsewhere without following predictable paths are sometimes cited in support of this perspective. While mainstream science does not formally recognize interdimensional travel, the idea resonates with the human fascination with mysteries that defy simple categorization. For those listening quietly, it can be comforting rather than frightening, a reminder that the universe might hold layers of existence we are only beginning to perceive. Cultural consistency adds another layer of intrigue. Across distant civilizations, people have described glowing forms, sudden lights, and silent movements beneath the water. The Polynesians spoke of undersea stars pacing their canoes. Scandinavian fishermen noted discs gliding under fjords. Japanese folklore recounted beings emerging from the depths to offer signs or guidance. Even in modern reports, witnesses described smooth, deliberate movements and soft lights rising from below. The recurrence of these themes suggests that the ocean, in some way, inspires similar responses across human perception. Whether these patterns indicate external intelligence, undiscovered phenomena, or a shared human sensitivity to the mysterious, the effect is subtle, meditative, and compelling. Eyewitnesses often describe the experience with a sense of awe rather than fear. Divers, sailors, and pilots report calm attentiveness, focusing on the movements of the objects and the gentle illumination they cast. There is rarely panic. Instead, there is a feeling of being in the presence of something ancient, deliberate, and aware. Psychologists studying such encounters note that humans have a natural tendency to perceive agency and intelligence, particularly in novel, ambiguous environments. Yet the consistency of reports across independent observers lends weight to the idea that these objects are more than projections of the mind. The pattern is quiet, subtle, and consistent, a thread weaving together observation and imagination. As you imagine drifting slowly through these deep, quiet waters, the objects beneath seem to move with a kind of gentle purpose. They pulse with light, glide in smooth arcs, and disappear as if respecting the boundaries of the observer. Whether they are biological, technological, extraterrestrial, or interdimensional remains a question without urgency, leaving space instead for contemplative curiosity. The calm embrace of the ocean makes it easy to simply witness, to float alongside the mystery, and to let wonder settle like a soft current around the mind. In this space, speculation becomes meditation. The unknown is not threatening. It is expansive, slow, and profoundly patient. The ocean and its hidden visitors invite quiet reflection, offering glimpses of possibilities far beyond ordinary experience. It is a gentle reminder that the world is layered and rich with unknowns, and that some mysteries are meant to be observed, savored, and contemplated slowly, rather than solved immediately. Here, in the silent, vast water, curiosity and peace coexist, carrying the mind into a calm reverie, where the boundaries of reality seem soft and permeable, and the imagination can drift freely alongside the unseen. Throughout human history, the mysterious depths of the ocean have inspired stories, myths, and artistic expression, long before modern reports of unexplained phenomena began to circulate. The imagery of hidden worlds beneath the waves has appeared in literature, folklore, and religious narratives alike, often symbolizing the unknown, the subconscious, or transformation itself. Across cultures, the ocean represents a boundary between the familiar and the incomprehensible. Ancient Greek myths told of sea deities and creatures that guided, protected, or challenged sailors. Polynesian and Micronesian navigators spoke of luminous undersea beings who appeared in the night, moving silently beneath canoes and offering guidance or warning. In Japan, the legends of Umibozu and other enigmatic sea spirits spoke to the unpredictable power of the deep, blending fear and respect. Across continents and eras, these stories reveal a profound human fascination with the unseen aquatic world, a fascination that modern USO reports seem to echo and expand. The influence of underwater mysteries extends into literature and visual art as well. In the 19th century, writers like Jules Verne drew upon tales of deep-sea exploration to craft worlds beneath the ocean that seemed simultaneously real and fantastical. In 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Nautilus moves through a marine environment populated by strange creatures and unknown territories, reflecting both the scientific curiosity and imaginative wonder of the time. These narratives are not mere entertainment. They shape the collective perception of the ocean as a realm of hidden intelligence and concealed life. Illustrators and painters of the same era often depicted glowing, ethereal forms moving beneath shadowed waters, emphasizing fluidity, depth, and the unknowable. Such art creates a bridge between factual observation and emotional resonance, helping viewers and readers alike internalize the idea that the sea holds mysteries beyond surface comprehension. In the modern era, this cultural imprint has expanded to film, television, and digital media. Movies exploring underwater anomalies or extraterrestrial aquatic intelligence often draw from both contemporary eyewitness accounts and historical folklore. The depiction of USOs or alien sea creatures is rarely static or mechanical. Filmmakers tend to emphasize smooth, flowing motion and luminescent qualities, reflecting reported behaviors and the eerie calm associated with deep water encounters. Even when the creatures are fictionalized, the underlying effect mirrors real-world reports. A slow, deliberate presence beneath the waves, silent yet intensely perceptible. Documentaries and investigative programs further reinforce this cultural image, blending historical accounts, eyewitness testimony, and visual simulations to create a coherent, immersive narrative. The ocean becomes a stage for imagination and contemplation, where audiences can experience curiosity and reflection rather than fear. The influence extends beyond entertainment into collective psychology and dream imagery. Sleep researchers and psychologists studying dream patterns note that bodies of water frequently symbolize the unconscious mind or unexplored aspects of experience. In dreams, the ocean often embodies vastness, mystery, and hidden potential, qualities echoed in USO narratives. People who read or watch detailed accounts of underwater anomalies may find that the imagery surfaces in dreams, manifesting as glowing forms beneath waves, silent movements in the depths, or mysterious, intelligent entities observed from a distance. These dream experiences are often calming rather than terrifying, likely because the narrative context frames the unknown as deliberate, graceful, and non-threatening. In this way, cultural depictions of the ocean and its hidden mysteries subtly shape the subconscious mind, reinforcing curiosity, attentiveness, and reflection. Video games, interactive experiences, and virtual reality have added another dimension to this cultural diffusion. Many modern games allow players to explore deep-sea environments populated with bioluminescent creatures, unknown structures, or intelligent underwater entities. The design of these digital worlds often draws on both historical folklore and contemporary reports of USOs, emphasizing fluid movement, dynamic lighting, and a sense of scale that mirrors the vast, uncharted expanses of the ocean. Immersion in such experiences can evoke the same contemplative calm and subtle awe described in first-hand accounts, reinforcing the perception of the ocean as a layered, mysterious, and living environment. Through these platforms, the fascination with underwater anomalies is not only observed but actively felt, allowing people to inhabit the space of the unknown in a safe, reflective manner. Scientific engagement with these mysteries has also influenced culture. Oceanographers, marine biologists, and engineers often collaborate with storytellers, filmmakers, and journalists to translate data into narrative. Detailed sonar readings, deep-sea photographs, and accounts of unusual behavior in marine organisms inform realistic depictions of USOs and other anomalies. This fusion of scientific observation and artistic interpretation ensures that the cultural representation of underwater mysteries remains grounded, credible, and resonant. Audiences experience the tension between what is known and what is unknown, heightening curiosity while maintaining a calm, reflective mindset. By integrating factual observation with narrative depth, cultural works create a space where mystery and understanding coexist, encouraging both imaginative exploration and intellectual engagement. The presence of USOs in modern culture also reflects broader human fascination with boundaries and liminality. The ocean, particularly its deeper unexplored regions, represents a threshold between known and unknown, between the human and the non-human, between reality and imagination. This liminal space captivates the mind precisely because it is largely inaccessible, its movements invisible, and its contents enigmatic. Cultural representations, whether in books, films, art, or interactive media, echo this liminality by emphasizing slow, deliberate motion, subtle illumination, and a sense of vast, silent space. This careful portrayal allows audiences to engage with mystery in a calm and contemplative manner, inviting gentle curiosity rather than fear. Furthermore, repeated motifs in culture reinforce continuity across time and geography. Glowing lights beneath the water, silent arcs of movement, and disappearing entities appear in ancient folklore, early maritime journals, and contemporary accounts alike. Artistic representations often adopt these motifs, creating a recognizable visual and narrative language that signals mystery and intelligence without sensationalism. These motifs function as a bridge between imagination and observation, giving the subconscious mind familiar touchpoints that guide reflection and curiosity. For listeners or observers, the repetition of these patterns fosters both comfort and wonder, allowing the ocean's hidden mysteries to be appreciated slowly and meditatively. Cultural integration of USOs also has an emotional and psychological impact. Humans are naturally drawn to patterns, stories, and continuity. By incorporating historical reports, modern sightings, folklore, and creative interpretation into cultural products, society creates a shared space where mystery is normalized and respected. Individuals engaging with these stories, whether through reading, viewing, or dreaming, experience a sense of connectedness across time and space. They recognize that countless generations have looked at the ocean and sensed something profound beneath the waves. This realization encourages reflective calm, curiosity, and a meditative appreciation of the unknown, turning encounters with mystery into a gentle, restorative experience rather than one of alarm. Even music and sound design have embraced the cultural imprint of underwater mystery. Composers use subtle, low-frequency tones, echoing motifs, and flowing harmonics to simulate the sensation of deep water and the presence of unseen intelligence. These auditory elements reinforce the calming and contemplative nature of oceanic exploration, allowing listeners to experience the vastness of the sea and the subtle intrigue of USOs without visual stimulus. The combination of narrative, visual, and auditory storytelling creates a multisensory engagement with mystery that mirrors the experience of being present in the ocean itself. Vast, slow-moving, and filled with gentle, unfolding surprises. In sum, the cultural influence of USOs and underwater mysteries is profound, spanning centuries of folklore, literature, art, media, dreams, and modern interactive experiences. Across all these expressions, the ocean is depicted as a realm of hidden intelligence, deliberate motion, and patient observation. The recurrence of motifs, the careful integration of credible eyewitness accounts, and the subtle blending of science and imagination allow individuals to engage with the unknown in a manner that is reflective, calming, and deeply resonant. Through these cultural forms, the mysteries of the deep are not only preserved but gently experienced, encouraging contemplation, curiosity, and a sense of continuity with the countless humans who have, throughout history, gazed into the quiet depths and felt the persistent pull of the unknown. The ocean, with its hidden currents and elusive objects, continues to shape imagination and culture, offering an endless source of wonder, reflection, and meditative calm. The journey through the ocean's hidden depths, from ancient mariner tales to modern scientific investigation, has been one of quiet curiosity, gentle awe, and enduring mystery. As you drift in imagination along the deep moonlit waters, the layers of history, observation, and speculation begin to weave together, creating a tapestry of understanding that is both grounded and meditative. You are no longer simply a witness to isolated stories or sporadic reports. Instead, you are immersed in a continuum of human experience, a lineage of observations stretching across centuries and cultures, all centered on the quiet, unseen world beneath the waves. This realization itself carries a calm weight. The unknown is vast, yet the human mind has long found ways to engage with it, to observe, to record, and to reflect. The earliest sailors and fishermen left us records of glimmers and arcs of light beneath their vessels, details captured with the precision of seasoned observers. Their descriptions often convey the strange, the unfamiliar, without the dramatization common in later retellings. These logs and oral accounts remind us that even in the absence of modern technology, humans were capable of careful observation and methodical recording. Their lives depended on the ocean's rhythms. They understood currents, tides, and the subtle behavior of marine life. Yet despite this intimate knowledge, the anomalies they encountered remained beyond explanation. That duality, the competence of the observer paired with the inscrutability of the phenomenon, establishes a baseline for all subsequent encounters. In a sense, it is a lesson in humility. The ocean is an older, larger system than human understanding, and curiosity is the most natural response to its depths. The Cold War introduced a new dimension to these mysteries. Submarines, sonar arrays, and classified observation platforms allowed nations to monitor vast stretches of ocean with unprecedented precision. Sonar operators recorded anomalies that accelerated without mechanical means, executed sudden turns, and sometimes vanished without a trace. In certain cases, objects appeared to have intelligence or purpose, prompting serious internal review by naval authorities. While governments rarely disclose these findings publicly, the meticulous documentation demonstrates that the phenomena were treated as real and worthy of study, even when explanations could not be found. The historical tension of the Cold War, where misidentification could escalate into crisis, adds gravity to these encounters, yet it also frames them as careful observations rather than speculative fantasy. Within this context, the ocean becomes a theater of both natural wonder and human vigilance, a reminder that the unknown can coexist with deliberate, rational scrutiny. Modern observations build upon these foundations, expanding the scope of witness experience. Divers, recreational sailors, fishermen, and even coastal residents report seeing lights, shapes, and movements that defy ordinary explanation. Unlike historical accounts, these modern encounters are sometimes documented with technology. Sonar readings, photographs, and video recordings accompany eyewitness reports. Patterns emerge in these contemporary cases, echoing earlier descriptions. Luminous objects moving with intention, sudden appearances and disappearances, and behaviors inconsistent with known marine life or human vehicles. The consistency across centuries and continents suggests that these phenomena are not isolated curiosities, but enduring features of the deep sea, waiting to be explored and understood. For those engaging in this quiet reflection, there is both reassurance and fascination. The unknown is persistent, yet it is also accessible through careful, patient attention. Scientific perspectives offer frameworks for understanding without diminishing wonder. Many reports can be attributed to bioluminescent organisms, unusual currents, acoustic anomalies, or experimental underwater vehicles. Marine biology has revealed creatures capable of extraordinary light displays and fluid, precise movement, challenging assumptions about the possibilities of life in extreme environments. Similarly, advancements in engineering and propulsion hint at ways that certain mechanical systems might achieve some of the behaviors described, though rarely matching the smoothness or sudden transitions observed in USO reports. Even where natural or technological explanations are plausible, the patterns remain captivating. Smooth arcs of light, rapid yet deliberate movement, and transmedium transitions from water to air. These behaviors, whether natural, engineered, or something else entirely, create a gentle rhythm of curiosity, inviting calm contemplation rather than alarm. Speculative theories, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or unknown intelligent life, extend this meditation into the realm of possibility without forcing conclusions. Across cultures, myths of underwater beings, luminous guides, and mysterious lights appear consistently, suggesting a shared human intuition about the depths. Modern ufologists note cases where USOs appear capable of behavior beyond current physics, stimulating thought about life or intelligence that may exist in forms we cannot yet comprehend. While these ideas remain unverified scientifically, they are valuable as mental exercises in observation and imagination, encouraging the mind to stretch, explore, and coexist with uncertainty. In the calm pace of this narrative, they are not frightening. Rather, they serve as gentle companions to curiosity, symbols of the ocean's patient invitation to wonder. Cultural and artistic reflections mirror these layers of understanding. Literature, film, and visual art repeatedly return to the motif of hidden, luminous objects beneath the waves. In these portrayals, the ocean is both setting and character, vast, slow-moving, and full of unseen presences. The repetition of themes, glowing lights, silent arcs, sudden appearances, reflects a deep, universal resonance. Humans are drawn to the unknown, and the ocean provides an ideal canvas for imagination that is slow, deliberate, and immersive. Even when fictionalized, these narratives reinforce the rhythms of observation, notice, reflect, and remain open to experience. They echo the psychological and perceptual dynamics seen in real encounters, bridging story and reality, past and present, observation and imagination. The act of reflection itself becomes a kind of meditation. As you imagine drifting alongside these lights and shapes, the mind slows, aligning with the measured pace of the ocean. Breathing deepens, attention narrows gently, and the body feels lighter in the calm rhythm of thought. The ocean in this space is no longer merely a collection of waves and currents. It is a companion in curiosity, a vast presence that invites careful attention, patience, and wonder. The unknown objects become markers, points of gentle focus, each pulse of light or shift of movement offering a rhythm to follow, a subtle cadence that guides the mind toward serenity. In this expansive reflection, the ocean's mysteries are neither problems to solve nor threats to fear. They are enduring, patient phenomena, reminders that the world extends beyond immediate perception and that the human mind is capable of observing, questioning, and appreciating complexity. From the first glimmers recorded by sailors to the careful documentation of modern divers and naval personnel, the ocean has presented a continuum of mystery, a continuum that can be approached slowly, deliberately, and without urgency. Each encounter is an opportunity to engage, not with panic or expectation, but with calm curiosity, observation, and reflection. As the journey through this quiet, unseen world draws to a close, there is a sense of settling. The layers of history, science, folklore, and imagination coalesce into a single flowing awareness. The ocean is vast, the unknown is persistent, and mystery can be a source of gentle fascination. You imagine the water stretching endlessly in every direction, dark yet alive with potential, its depths serene and unhurried. The objects, whatever they may be, glide silently beneath the surface, their presence a subtle invitation to wonder, patience, and quiet attention. In this space, curiosity and calm coexist effortlessly. The final thought is one of release. The ocean teaches that not all questions require answers, that some mysteries are best left to drift slowly, observed with mindfulness and respect. The gentle pulse of lights beneath the waves, the rhythmic movement of the water, and the continuity of human observation across time all contribute to a sense of peace. In this final meditative moment, you are free to drift alongside the unknown, letting curiosity guide without pressure, allowing imagination to stretch alongside history and reality. The ocean, timeless and vast, remains patient, offering its secrets gently, as if inviting you to rest, reflect, and sink into a deep, untroubled sleep, comforted by the awareness that wonder is infinite, serene, and quietly always present.